Call the meeting to order. Do the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Bruno?
Here.
Mr. Facto?
Here.
Mr. Newton?
Here.
Mr. Brown is not here. And Mr. Randall?
Here. All right, all board members have been provided with a copy of the minutes of the last meeting. A motion will be entertained to approve and accept the minutes of the regular meeting of May 24th, 2022, providing there are no additional deletions that are needed. I get a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Bruno,
Second.
Mr. Facto,
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Facto?
Yes.
Mr. Randall?
yes. Have our address in here?
Yes.
Okay. So at this time, we're gonna call up two Picard, Friends of the North Country.
Oh. I didn't know I would be on so early.
Well,
Thank you
that way
very
don't have
much.
to go through the long, drawn-out process. We'll have you give us some information on the CDBG grant that you were looking at, us obtaining to help out several of the homes, I believe, in the town that
Yes.
are on the list already.
Yep,
So we'll let you have the floor.
great, thank you. I work with Friends of the North Country, and we had done a housing rehab grant with the town of Schuyler Falls. I believe it was in 2017. And I believe our deputy director reached out and asked whether you might be interested in applying this year for either housing rehabilitation funds or through CDBG. They also offer a mobile home replacement program. And the total amount of funds that are going to be available across New York State for all of these different housing programs is $10 million. And towns can apply for housing rehab. Normally what we have done is single-family housing rehab, and the limit is to apply for $500,000. If the town was interested in applying for a mobile home replacement grant, it would be for up to $750,000. That's an increase from past grants. Like everything, they're finding that costs have gone way up and that you can not do very much in terms of a mobile home replacement program for $500,000. So they have upped it to $750,000. We're here really tonight to talk with you about letting us work with you to contact people in the community through postcards that we would mail out, asking them if they need repairs to their home or their mobile home, if they own their own home. And then we also use the Clinton County median household income range because they would need to be low to moderate income. And they base that chart on all of the residents of the home's income and how many people are living in the home, so it varies. The process would be that people would receive these cards if they are interested or think that they need a roof, basement repair, windows replaced, those kinds of things. They would call our office and speak with one of our housing counselors. They are HUD certified housing counselors, and take the information, basic information, and they would be placed on a waiting list. And right now, without sending out postcards, just from word of mouth that people are looking for assistance, or it could have been that they remembered that there was help through a grant that we helped the town obtain in 2017. We have 13 potential clients that are living in stick-built homes that meet the very basic requirements. They own their own home, they fit in the income category. We also have 8 potential mobile home replacements. The state, when they're looking at applications, likes to see on the waiting list for assistance at least twice the number that you're looking to apply for. So that's why we would want to generate other interest and come back at the time of a public hearing, which is required if you're applying for the grant, and hopefully that would be in July. And we would be able to tell you how many more we have, and based on some of that information, what we would recommend that the town look at in terms of the amount that you could apply for and the number of units that could be completed. It's a 2-year program, and they're not real understanding of our construction seasons, and so sometimes you're really kind of putting everything into almost a year and a half to get everything done. And so we tend to look at applying for fewer units to make sure that the program can be successful. Because if you're successful, then you're more apt to be looking at other applications. I don't know if I can answer questions. If you have questions about the process or the application itself. The application now is done online, and there will be things that the supervisor will be asked to sign, but we would take care of writing the application, submitting all the paperwork, and when we move forward with that, our housing rehab coordinator will go out and survey usually at least 5 homes, take some pictures, and of course we get permission from the homeowner first. But those are then put in the application without the names and addresses to demonstrate the need in the town of Schuyler Falls. And he writes up tentative work write-ups based on what he or she has seen, and also tries to give an estimate of what would need to be done. And the whole idea with CDBG grant funds is it's to make a home safe and secure and as close to being up to code as possible. And in order to do that, we involve the code enforcement officer right from the very beginning to be sure that that person is aware of the different projects and what we're looking at. It is not a program to put new linoleum on your kitchen floor because you don't like it, or that's about the best one I can come up with, but you can come up with some, I'm sure. It's not for cosmetic kinds of things. It's really for
Service means.
yeah, really to make it safe. And at the same time, our housing counselors also offer to anyone who calls other services around Clinton County that they may not be aware of. JCEO does a weatherization program, and we work with JCEO to weatherize homes that are not. If you're thinking or continue to think about a mobile home replacement, one of the things that has come up is that after a mobile home is about 10 years old, the state doesn't want to put any money into it. And they don't see that as being worthwhile for their funds. And so people who may be making out fine in their minds in a mobile home, the state would not go ahead with those kinds of improvements in a mobile home that's that old. And if they are around 1973, they don't want to hear about it at all. I mean, they won't even consider it. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. The only other thing is that we have found with programs recently that we have done that to do a mobile home replacement with putting, having to pour a slab or whatever might have to be done before the mobile home is brought in and hooked up and everything else, we can't do it, and we're not finding contractors who can do it for under $120,000, and that's a low estimate. They're very costly at this point, and due to the pandemic, there's a lengthy waiting list as well to actually get the mobile home shipped up here. Those things, the repair work, and if it was replacement, all of those things, should you be successful with the application, would go out for competitive bidding, and CDBG likes it if you can get at least 3 bids, and if you have to go with 2, then you have to call them, and we've done that, but it's much better if we can get more bids. So, does anybody have any questions? Yes.
On the mobile home replacement, what happens to the mobile home that's pulled out?
Those have to be destroyed.
Who destroys them?
They're taken, it's all part of the cost. They're taken to the county dump. Actually, I'm not positive on this, but at one time, the only place you could take them was someplace in Franklin County. And there may be in Clinton County now, someplace that they can be moved to. But that's all included in the cost of replacing a mobile home.
We're looking, go ahead.
If we get questions from people that might be interested in this program, do we have to send them to your office? Or do they go online? Do you have the site to go to?
They can, if they go to the Friends of the North Country site online, they can access what is called an intake form, and they can complete it and email it into our housing counselors. And it's information that is kept very private, very secure, and they're not absolutely held to that information. They want to know it. They want to know everything, and not our counselors, the state. And so income, bill, you know, what you have for bills, because it all kind of balances out what you bring in versus what you spend. And if the grant is successful, the way that we have always encouraged towns to proceed is that it's first come, first serve. So people that have been on the waiting list the longest would be the people that would get the application packet first. Now, keep in mind that some of these people have been on there even maybe since before 2017, and their circumstances have changed. They passed away. We run into things where the home has been sold and someone else is part of it. They don't call us and tell us to take them off the list. So if that happens, we keep going down the list. And then the client with the completed application is the one that then moves forward. And the application, I'll be very honest, the application is a bear. The information that it asks for is not so bad, but digging up all the documentation for the application for some people is just more than they can grasp. And they need to call our office and talk with our housing counselors who will help them with that. We've had housing counselors that have gone to people's homes and helped them fill out the application. Or there have been years where they have set up in, say, the town hall and had appointments with individuals who wanted help with their application. And most, our housing counselors are aware of where people need to go to get some of that information, like old utility bills and, you know, your income tax and
We
your...
understand it's quite a long, arduous process. I mean, I wasn't here for the last one. I finished up the last CDBG grant that Rick had worked on with the previous board. I did the closeout audit on it.
So you know.
I know the mounds of paperwork and a couple things that we were actually missing that we had to take corrective action on to close out the CDBG accounts. A couple little things that, you know, one was pulling a couple folders to review that hadn't been done, and the other one was, the biggest one was that when we asked for a draw, actually when you guys asked us to do a draw, we can't have that money in our account for more than 5 days. We got dinged hard on that.
And
so.
that is still the truth.
Oh, no, I know. I worked with them at Albany for almost a month to clean that thing up at the end. So, I'd written a letter to them, to take corrective action at CDBG so that we could apply for future
Great.
grants and get off of that naughty list, so to speak. But, yeah, it was quite a arduous process. I know you guys, have been doing it quite a while. You switched directors a couple times over the last couple of years,
Yep.
a few years, I should say. I worked with Melissa, when we cleaned out the other one. And, you know, she spent almost a day down here going through the end of that. So, I believe it's a worthwhile program. If we get the grant, then, you know, of course, we'll get more involved as the applicants come through and get approved, so to speak, through your process and brought before the board. And I will, like I said, one of the big things was communication between us and Friends of the North Country has to happen. Because if you pull those draws, then we need to know that we can get rid of that funds within 5 days.
Right.
It has to be in a non-interest bearing account, and we have to get it out of here. Not that it wasn't in a non-interest bearing account, but we approve all our vouchers on meeting night. So if you do it too early, we're gonna go over that 5 days. So we gotta coordinate. That's what I was talking to with the director down at CDBG, that we'd have to coordinate
Yep.
to make sure that those draws are done when we're able to write the check. Because otherwise that money stays in the account way too long.
Right. And our finance director can work with you on those kinds of things as well and make sure that everything kind of lines up the way it's supposed to.
All right. You got any more questions, anybody?
Is there sort of a tentative date for approval if we have the public hearing?
The
in July?
application is due on August 26th. And when you have the public hearing would be about the time that you would give us the kind of the go-ahead for a very particular amount and number of units based on the things that we've shared with you. In the meantime, if you pass the resolution that Donna put together for this meeting, that'll give us the okay to go ahead and do the things to get the application ready. There's a whole lot that can be done previous to that. Did
We got it.
Did Crystal speak with you? Did you speak with Crystal or Melissa?
Crystal. And I think we got everything worked out. There was a little confusion on what you're required to do and what we're required to do. So we will set a public hearing for July 19th. That way we're ready to proceed, because that public hearing has to be done before submission.
Yes.
Unfortunately, on your end, you only need 10 days to get it there. We need a prior month approval for a public hearing, so we would have had to announce that tonight to do it for July. Otherwise, we'd have been announcing it in July and doing it in August, and that deadline was, our meeting's 3 days before the deadline of August 26th, so that's why we had to do it tonight. If it passes, that'll go all through tonight, we'll be set.
And that's
On the
great.
right path.
Yep, that's perfect. And Donna and I worked some together before on the 2017 grant back and forth, and we'll be able to kind of coordinate some of those things. And I will tell you, and Donna, this is kind of a heads up for you. CDBG has gotten very specific about templates that they want used for like the public hearing and things like that, so that it says exactly what they want it to say. And so if you should decide, I'll email you the copy for you to look at and so on. But we will, part of what we can do is submit it to the Press Republican, or if you're more comfortable doing it, that's up to you.
For the public hearing, you mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'll talk to you about that because I won't be around. But if you just send me the templates, and this way I've got them in Word, and
Yep.
this way we can do it.
Yep, okay. And you know, I think that'll all work out very well. Now, Crystal, I'm hoping Crystal mentioned to you that we do have a slight fee that we're looking for for completing the application and sending out the postcards and?
Yeah, it's in there, it's all in the resolution, so I think,
Okay.
I explained most of that to the councilman, give them a heads up tonight
Okay.
before they had, gotten here. I'll just double check to make sure.
It's not in the resolution.
It's not in this, $14.50 though, right?
I don't know.
That's what she had mentioned to me.
All right.
And it covers postage and
Yep, no,
all that kind of
no,
stuff.
I thought from memory, but
So-
it should have been in there. We'll make sure under discussion that we put that in the resolution there. It's $1,450.
Okay,
It's $200 less or more than what it was at 17. I think that's very reasonable.
yeah, okay.
Since it's been 5 years, they increased it by $200.
Well, we appreciate it and we'll be in touch with working on things for the application and getting paperwork to you for your signature and things like that. The first thing other than this will be, I believe Schuyler Falls is already in the online system because of the 2017 grant.
Yeah, well, we actually got a grant going that's on right now.
Oh, good.
It's infrastructure, not,
But that's,
but we're all up to par. I just went through the audit, so
Okay.
we're good there.
great.
So we should be good to work together, and we'll, in the effort of getting the meeting moving, I don't want to cut you off.
Nope,
but,
that's fine.
We'll move a little bit forward, and we will be voting on that resolution tonight, and I appreciate
Great.
your very detailed description.
Well,
of everything we've done on that.
I never know who's new and who's
Yep.
been through it before and all of that, so. And the only other thing I would add is word of mouth is a great way to get it out and about, and also,
Well, we'll make sure that our JCO program here knows about it and that they can advertise it.
and if there are contractors that you know of in the area, have them get in touch or go on our website to fill out a contractor application.
By talking with Melissa, that you have a whole list of contractors that you already work with.
We do, but
and use.
when we're doing a local program, we love to have local
Local.
contractors bid on those so that the money stays right here in the town.
Awesome.
So, great, thank you very much.
Thank
you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for putting me first.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry.
You're welcome to stay, but I wanted to get you going. Okay. Communications, petitions. I got a couple. Perma, our insurance, sent us another congratulations letter. In the last completed calendar year, you have filed all claims in a timely manner within 10 days of injury. Please find the closed certification of achievement on behalf of Member Service Department at Perma. We thank you for your dedication to filling all workers' compensation claims in a timely fashion, as on-time claim submission, in controlling the cost of the injury. So that's the second year that I've been here, we've gotten that. So. Green Up Day, I'll just touch on this really quick. We had some communication requesting cleanup Green Up Day. It ended up to be cleanup Green Up 2 weeks. We ended up with a canister out in the parking lot. We asked people to bring what they could down here as they cleaned up. That was a little bit easier. We were pressed for time to set something up where we'd all go out and pick a road and pick up the garbage alongside the road. And in the past, we haven't had a ton of volunteers show up after putting all that together. So this seemed to be very productive. If anybody wants to look out the window, we'll see. That canister's been here for a couple of weeks. It was a good opportunity for the residents of the town to get rid of some stuff that needed to be cleaned up around their properties, as well as we asked them to at least clean up the ditch line in front of their homes. So we had, as you can see, very good participation, and it worked out better having it over that length of time rather than just one day. So next year going forward, we'll continue to do a cleanup clean green cleanup every spring. We hope to have it a little bit earlier next year, so stay tuned and we'll announce what's going on there. I did talk to a couple people, the landfill up here, Clinton County, that does tire intake. They had said that they pick a couple different spots in the county each year to do that because it's sponsored through the county, and that he would put us on the list and maybe we could have a tire pickup here in Clinton County next year. They had one close, they had one right in the town of Plattsburgh, or at the town of Plattsburgh properties right there. They had a truck come in and you could take tires over there. So next year we'll try to get that here in our town in Scholar Falls. But it was a pretty good success for as quick as we put that together. So again, we'll try that again next year. With that, the code enforcement officer will be going around town now. Everybody's had a chance to get rid of this stuff and look for violations and look for properties that may be distressing and need a cleanup. So at least we gave you the opportunity to get rid of it down here for free. The town of Scholar Falls also, we submitted for the second part of the clean energy program. That was LED lights for the decorative. We changed all the street lights out and we changed the lights inside the buildings and up at the garage about a year and a half ago. We just finished up all the LEDs for the decorative street lighting, and we just got that accepted by NYSERDA, so that's more points towards grant application, or grants, period. The first grant that we got from all the work we did previous was a $5,000 grant. They keep going up, but you have to keep doing programs that will give you the points to keep continuing with the grant. So LED decorative street lights gives us more points towards the next possible grant. Let me see. I'll wait for that one and that one. That's it on communications. All right, monthly reports. Everybody should have received copies of the monthly reports. I get a motion to file. That is by Mr. Newman
Second.
and Mr. Bruno. Roll call.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Facto?
Yes.
Mr. Randall?
Yes. Receipts. Town clerk, $762. Mason Lane, 0. Morrisville Water, $4,115.30. Woods Mills Water, $1,120.58. Justice Barber, $1,601. Justice Van Ortwick, $1,618. Cash receipts, $55,655 from Clinton County Treasurer. 17,000. That's not common here somewhere. Or an extra zero on there.
Second.
You got an extra zero, right? $17,271, I believe.
Yes.
Alright, we'll get rid of that extra zero. Alright, so charter franchise fee, $17,271. Clinton County Treasurer for mail-free taxes, $194. Again, Clinton County Treasurer, mitigation tax for $41,828.49. Cast music in the park for food, $119.50.
Motion to accept the receipts?
Motion by Mr. Newman,
Second.
by Mr. Facto. Roll call.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Facto?
Yes.
Mr. Randall?
Yes. Okay, minutes of the planning board dated 5/12/22. Can I get a motion to file?
Motion?
By Mr. Newman. I'll second it.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Facto?
Yes.
Mr. Randall?
Yes. And again, the minutes of the zoning board dated 5/16/22. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
By Mr. Bruno,
Second.
by Mr. Facto. Roll call.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Facto?
Yes.
Mr. Randall?
Yes. All right, department reports. Councilman?
I have a few things.
Okay.
Regarding the zoning committee, there was an applicant over in Scholar Falls Hamlet, and him and his attorney were here for a meeting, and there wasn't enough members present, so they couldn't go forth with their action that evening. And Kevin, I'm wondering, have we got someone lined up to appoint to the zone committee? It seems like they're kind of short right now.
Zoning board?
The zoning board, yeah, zoning board.
The alternates, we can have an alternate. There are a couple names. Matter of fact, one of the guys in the room tonight that actually showed interest in it. I talked to Mr. Dorrance just before this meeting, and I have a couple names for him. I would like, as he's the chairman of the zoning board, I'd like to hear who they would recommend, and then naturally it's up to us to appoint them.
Sure, sure.
So
Yeah.
those names have been, the two names have been
Yeah.
submitted at this time.
It just seems that night with the board not being able to act, it was kind of a waste of having our attorney here that night. They were not able to accomplish anything.
Okay.
And that was my point with it, with bringing it up.
Well, you're almost right. The zoning board needs a majority to
Sure.
meet. They didn't have a full 5-panel board,
Right.
which could inadvertently affect the outcome. So
Sure.
being that they didn't have a full board, it was up to the petitioner whether or not he wanted to move forward with a less than a full board. So they had decided to table it, not us. But yes, I agree that we're gonna, we always try to have a full board here.
Sure.
And it was due to circumstances of actually the chairman that's normally always here at the last minute having something else come up, so.
Sure, understandable. I had an inquiry regarding the playground equipment from last winter, I believe, when that contract was let out. What's the status on that?
Well, that's a good question because we started talking about that today. You must have ESP. Because I said it's been a while and I gotta get a hold of the company that we hired and find out what's going on. I know that the equipment was specific to Miracle Equipment and that they were buying it from them, and I know with everything going on right now, everybody's having a heck of a time getting anything. So I was going to do that today and I got tied up with 50 other things, but I will write that down on my list and I'll take care of that tomorrow to find out where again they're at with coming here. I do know that we did sign that contract. It's been so many months now, I can't remember what we had to put up front. I think it was half up front. So we haven't paid the whole thing because they wanted half to buy the product, so. But we're still holding, I believe, don't quote me, but I believe half back until it is completed. But I will check with Pat and find out where he's at with that.
Okay, but then I had several calls regarding folks who would like to see an outdoor sign here at the town hall to advertise activities that are going on. And it's the same group, they've been asking for this for months. And is there any movement possibly in that direction at all?
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but to put an electric sign up there is going to be 20 to probably 30,000, unless you get something small enough that they're not going to read it. They're probably even more than that now. you could go down, there was a time that you could go down to, don't quote me if it was Sam's or wherever, and you could get the ones that you could actually put and
The
change
letters
them
up on there.
individually.
Yeah.
We tried those, I'll go back to the fire station, we tried those, and by the time we went through 3 or 4 windstorms and the letters went to God, yeah, we were replacing them all the time. So, I don't know quite what the taxpayers want to spend on a sign here. We try our best to put it on the website, to put it in the paper, so everybody knows when the meetings are coming up, depending on whether it's like again a public hearing or something like that that would need to be advertised. But yeah, like I said, I don't know how many people are asking me about a sign out front, and if it's a majority of enough people to spend 30
Yeah,
or
there actually was
40,000.
3 different ones that did inquire. So,
Okay, so,
that's true.
I mean, I don't know, I guess what the easiest thing to do would, once we get everything up on our website, is maybe we can put a blurb up there on there and saying, if you support, I'll get some prices. If you support, X amount of dollars to put a electric sign out here at the town hall, check yes or no, and then we
Oh,
can
that's
maybe
good
add
idea.
up
Okay.
the tallies at the end and see how that goes.
And-
If I'm not mistaken, Donna, didn't the town look at that
They did
a number
quite
of
a
years
while,
ago?
yes.
And it was,
It
even
was
then, it was very
astronomical.
expensive.
It was.
And it was not a popular.
And they can't be
thing, but-
flashing.
No, well,
Gotta
that's
be.
because of our own rules.
Yeah.
Because we ran into that, where they're not supposed to scroll, they're not supposed to flash, I mean, those signs, they're expensive, but they can do a lot. And you can put little memes on them, you can have them moving, I mean, they even had flames on the one at the fire department at one time until we were told that we can't have moving characters on there due to our zoning. So those are all things that we can look at, but before I spent 30 or 40 grand to put that in for 3 people, I want to make sure that we had, I'm only one on the board, I would.
Okay.
I would.
I
make sure
just got
that
a
we had more back.
couple more items of things that
Yep.
I've been called on. Regarding the Lawson issue on the end of the Christensen Road, the gentleman that had the septic situation and he was encroaching on town property, or needed to encroach. Had you made a decision on that? He had called me on that.
Right, and I hadn't really used the name or put it in
Oh,
on the record.
I thought we
was trying
talked
to keep
about it
that,
one night.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, we didn't.
okay, I already did it. Okay,
From what I've gathered from phone calls from each one of you, because I wasn't doing it as a public open thing, but I believe that the outcome of that was that it was not in the best interest of the town to give up a right-of-way at this time. And that was, again, advice from our attorney that we had and seeked for, and even a constituent who was here last time in the audience that told us it wasn't a good idea. If you remember when we were talking about that was Jason Rock that said that I would not.
Did we discuss that last meeting and say
Yeah.
we were not doing it?
Yeah.
I thought we
Yeah.
already have both.
okay, I know Mike Brody has went over there and spoke to him as well.
No, I know both of you.
So, anyway, if it's whatever. Now, the Music in the Park event, it was the first one, and I want to thank you guys for what you did over there. It was very nice. It wasn't a widely attended one, it was the first one, but that's understandable. Now, I understand we're having a total of 4, and what I'm wondering, could we have one of those planned for Salmon River Park? Maybe to service more our residents out in that area? Would that be
The
possible?
only problem you're gonna have out there is, I don't know what the power situation is for if they even have power to that gazebo over there. I'd have to ask Sam about that. The reason why I planned them here at the newer park is because we ended up putting in a 100 amp service so that we could have at least, most bands want at least 40 to 60 amps of power to work everything so they're not shutting down half the night. So that one's a brand new 100 amp service down there. There are 3 60 amp breakers I put in that are on GFIs. The lights are all on GFIs. It's all set up for that purpose. It's not to say that, you know, this is more central or, you know, Salmon River Road is more central to the villages, or the town of Scholar Falls, because we could have one out on Woods Mills at the park up there too, but it's not set up for it. So,
Okay,
I
it's
don't,
just
I
an
don't
idea.
know if that would be reasonable, but I can look and see what they got for their service out there.
Okay.
Are we gonna have regular, oh, I'm sorry, Reg.
Oh, go ahead.
Are we gonna have regular bands at some of these, or are we only gonna try to stay with a DJ?
Alright,
Because I
so-
think one of our problems on our last one was Peru had one the same night and probably had one of the best bands in the North Country there.
Well-
And you couldn't get down the roads, you couldn't get into the place.
Right. So, this is our first year, and I'll take the hit on it, okay? I'm trying to get the community involved, so we tried to do these music in the parks.
Right.
Once I started to try to book these last month, everybody kind of laughed at me and said, you know, you should have been doing this in December and January. So,
Well, yeah, because it's,
I
we
have
don't have
learned.
that many country
All right. Well,
bands in this
any
area.
entertainment, because of the weddings and, you know, anniversaries
Graduation
and graduations and everything. So, it was graduation weekend, which took up a lot of people's time, and there was the crew. The one that I just found out that Mr. Van Artwick is gonna hopefully still be able to do it now. His band for July, I just found out he wanted to do it on the 16th, and when I was talking to Nick Bola today, he said that Dannemora is having their whole big parade and weekend. So they do fireworks, they got bootleg going up there. He
Yeah.
goes, that's not the best weekend in July to have it. So I'm gonna get a hold of him and see if he can do it earlier. I don't know what their availability is. Again, I'll take the heat on it this year. I will start on this next year in December and January, like everybody has prompted me to do. I had no idea that they book out all of the area. Talent pretty much is booked up for the whole year by the end of
Well,
June.
if you want, I will work with you on that. I do all the booking of all the bands for the county fair,
Right.
and I can sit down with you on that. I have all the numbers, I have just about every band we have in this area, and I would work with you on that, and I think we could. But you want to get going first of the year for next year.
Yeah, that's what they told me. Busco Band, that David was awesome. He gave me all kinds of pointers, what time we should have it, when we should
Did you
do
happen
it.
to check with Hal Miro?
I have not checked with Hal.
I know their band is not scheduled out a lot, and I think you could, we may be able to get them for a gig, maybe like August area, if you
Yeah,
want.
I was kind of grasping when I was hoping that, like I said, Phil would do it, because the band I had in July actually canceled on me, so they had an issue.
Okay.
So those things will happen. To answer your question, I would like to do at least 2 in July and at least 2 in August. From what I got from everybody that I spoke with in the entertainment industry, is you want to try to tailor those music festivals, so to speak, from when the kids are out of school until they go back to school. So the last week in June, right up until the end of July.
I don't recommend you doing anything the last week of July, because that's a
There's a fair.
county fair here in
No, I
town.
stayed right away from that. That was the first thing I told them. Yeah, no, I agree. We're not trying to compete with everybody else.
Mhm.
I know there was a car show that day, and there was, again, a couple other things going
There's
on.
always gonna be something, we
But,
don't have
I
that big of
mean-
a North Country here, so.
Right. and everybody tries to hit them on the weekend. So when I talked to Phil, he thought maybe suggesting Sundays, you know, and do a couple on Sunday rather than try to, where everybody else is doing it, maybe on Friday and Saturday night, do a Sunday, but do it early, you know, like a 3 to 6. So that's what we were thinking, like that, on their day, on Sunday. So then I found out that Prue does concerts.
Starting at 6:30 though. Peru is
6:30 right now.
6:30 on Sundays is when Peru. So we didn't compete with Peru this time, but Lion Mountain had a big shindig.
Yeah.
Russ is
Slab
Yeah,
City
Ross's
up there.
Point.
Russ is playing.
Yeah, they have
They're
their
hard.
4th of
They're
July,
hard,
yeah. So, I mean, we're never gonna not have some
Get
kind of
something.
conflict somewhere.
Maybe
But
we be solo.
we'll try to stay away from the big stuff.
Mhm.
Alright? And I appreciate your help on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll get better. It's a start. Other than that, everybody had a good time. I think overall, we figured about 35 people showed up.
I counted
Without
around 50 that kind of came in and
Okay.
out,
Uh,
including all.
We did, I spent a lot of time on the grill, and we end up profiting $118 of food. Everything that we profit on the food will go back into the venue, so it'll help offset. Most of everybody that I've talked to right now have kept their prices down for us because they realize we're doing it to help the community and as a community service. Nick charged us $200 and he was there almost 4 hours because he likes to do it. So, you know, he kept on saying, hey, you want me to stay longer, stay longer? I said, you're getting your same $200. I think he didn't care. He was very good with it. So hopefully the trend continues. Hopefully we get the word out and more people will be involved. We do, September 23rd is going to be bootleg, which would be a big one because you get a lot of people that will follow
They get a
that.
lot of their followers.
So, you know, as we get those, I know, like I say, Busco Bandits for next year, they've been at several towns, they have a really good following. Not to say that the DJs in the karaoke didn't go over good, because I was surprised how many people walked out and sang. And I did at the end, just because I like to do it too. But, yeah, they weren't inhibited at all. That type of venue actually went really well. There are a lot of people that like the karaoke, so I'm looking, but I talked to Nick today and got with him to see if we can't book him again in between the other events we got going on. I will get those solidified and all the dates out as soon as I can. I'm hoping to do that by the end of this week, believe it or not, so we'll see how things go.
And the other thing on the water, there's a resolution coming up, I'll talk about it then.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, anything else from the council? Highway, Mickey?
Yeah, hey.